Hello. Hi. uh, yeah, okay. Hey, hello. How's everyone doing today? Hope you're doing well. Yeah, that was a little bit of me playing. Just wanted to hear it'd be interesting, cool wave starting. But anyways, yeah, that was little selection from Lebedev's concerto on one movement. I can't speak today. But yes, like the title says, we're going to be reading out of the Festival Solos book, which you probably can't, probably backwards, but whatever. Festival Solos, Standard of Excellence, Book 2, made by Kjos. Kjos? I don't know. One of those two. I figure it might as, I wanted to. I thought it'd be kind of interesting. Excuse me. Yeah. But in spirit with the month that it is, February, Black History Month, we're going to here's my recommended. Today I'm going to recommend an artist. Let me just double check this artist so I'm not getting anything wrong. Yeah. Okay. So today's artist is James Edward Carr, or James Carr. He was an American R&B and soul singer, really great gospel singer. I haven't listened to a ton of him, but I was reminded of him earlier this week and just listening to his which album was it that I was listening to a lot of? Give me 1 second. James Carr. You Got My Mind Messed Up. Yeah, I was listening to a bit of this. It's really great. It's nice gospel music, like R&B soul. But he's really amazing singer. I especially recommend The Dark End of the Street. It's a really, really nice song. But yeah, and then before we get started, I wanted to, because if you were here last week, you may remember that I recommended the book that I recommended. It's backwards once again, but I'm Possible by Richard Antoine White. I wanted to just read the intro because I read this intro before, but I've kind of forgotten about it. But it's a very moving little intro. But I just wanted to read the prologue. I'm Possible, because I think I know when I read it, I was like, wow, okay. Yeah, but here we go. I button on my tux, and the world shifts. For a short while, everything moves at half speed. I walk slowly. I sit slowly. I speak slowly. I conserve my breath. Buzzing into my mouthpiece, I walk on stage and am greeted by the plumage of red seats, soft and inviting. Slowly, quietly, the audience bubbles into the theater, which is aglow. They hush at the sight of us holding our instruments, flipping through the sheets on our stands, or closing our eyes, trying to get close to the music one way or another. I play the piece in my mind, letting it unfurl just as I want it to when I put my lips on the brass mouthpiece of my tuba. I inhale an epic breath and allow myself, fleetingly, to think, I have made it. The lights dim. The crowd settles. The conductor raises his arms, and the hall pulses alive. The harp, the piano, the woodwinds, flutes, oboes, clarinets, and bassoons. The strings, violins, violas, cellos, and bass. The percussion, snares, xylophones, bass drum, and timpani. The brass, trumpets, French horns, trombones, and tuba. All our voices become one. One powerful voice that draws everyone present into a whole other world of hope and passion, sadness and joy, and possibility. People pay attention when you say, I'm the first. You know, the first in your family to go to college, or the first woman to be president. In my case, I'm the I'm the first African American to earn a doctorate of music in tuba performance. And of course, I'm talking about Richard Antoine, right? That's not me. You don't have to look very hard to tell that I'm couldn't be in that category. But moving on. And when I say that, sorry, another aside, just when I'm saying I in this little passage, of course, I'm referring to Richard. That I is referring to Richard Antoine White. I just wanted to make that clear, because as I'm saying this, I'm kind of thinking it's like me. I don't know. But anyways, sorry. Of course I don't, because but anyways. And when okay, so we'll back up a little bit. I'm the first African American to earn a doctorate of music in tuba performance. And when I say that, people pay attention, and sometimes they assume that I'm a genius or that I'm special. Based on how my life began, I can see that my musical journey seems like a minor miracle, that even the fact of my survival is some kind of marvel. But the most miraculous part of my story is not me. It is the people who kept me from falling through the cracks, the people who saved my life, the people who cared enough to take me in, to teach me, to push me, to tell me something I wouldn't have otherwise known, and to challenge me to be better. I'm no different from the next person, although I do possess a profound belief in what is possible and a deep gratitude for how I came to be here. The first time my life was saved was on the day I was born. My mom was 17. My biological father was 19. He got locked up before I was born. And when I arrived in the world, he wasn't there. I was born premature at Maryland General Hospital and weighed just over a pound. Richard McLean, the man who raised me, said he could put me in his hand and close it. He would tell me, "Boy, you had all those tubes hooked up to you, coming out your nose, going into your mouth," and I would feel so bad every time I went to go see you. "Yes, sir." "Sure glad you made it." "Mm-hmm." The second time someone saved my life was a few months later. I have a small scar just to the right of my navel, a flat keloid scar that's as much a part of my body as my little finger or my nose. I can't remember a time when it wasn't there, but I never knew where it came from. Richard McLean's son, Ricky Jr., told me that when I was an infant, the McLean family got a call from someone in Sandtown, Pennsylvania Avenue, the neighborhood in Baltimore where I'm from, saying that there was a baby screaming in an abandoned building. Everyone knew that my mom had a baby and that she had alcohol problems, and no one wanted to call Child Protective Services on her, so they called the McLeans. Ricky Jr. came searching for me. The house was just a burnt-out shell, and when he found me there, there was a mischief of rats swarming around, nibbling on my side. He shot at them. Bam, bam. And they scattered, and he was struck with the fear that the shots would damage my hearing. It turns out my ears are okay. To be honest, I have a great ear. I have my mom's ear. Cheryl could really sing, and she'd sing all the time. She introduced me to music, and she also instilled in me a powerful sense of determination that carried me through all manner of trouble. We didn't have an apartment or a room that we had a key to. There was no place with a lease in my mom's name. Sometimes we had shelter, but it was never a home. At the end of the day, I didn't know where home was. All I had was Mama, and from a very young age, I had a profound urge to protect her. Though I knew she had an illness, I believed that I could take care of her. But first, I had to find her. There weren't any tricks for that. I would simply search every place I could remember. Oh, she might be in the park. Oh, she might be under the tree. Oh, she might be at this house or that house. I'd search on an endless loop until I found her. Sometimes it would get dark before that happened, and I would just crawl into an abandoned house and sleep there. That searching taught me perseverance. It taught me to keep working a problem until I solved it. Sometimes I feel like I do things the hardest way, but I never forget how to do them. I also have a tireless sense of optimism. I know that everything is possible. I want you to read this story and feel like you are a superhero. I want you to read this book and dream big, impossible dreams. Looking at the beginning of my life, everyone would have thought it was impossible for me to survive, impossible for me to succeed, impossible for me to be who I've become. But here I am, standing on a stage playing the tuba, living a happy life. I am possible, and therefore I know that anything is possible. I am possible. You are possible. Everything is possible. Okay, yeah, I just wanted to read a selection. Once again, that's I'm Possible, Richard Antoine White. That's the intro. I talked about, if you're here last week, that's the book I mentioned. I just wanted to read it because I read it. I've been reading it in between then and now, and I read through that, and I was like, wow, this is pretty powerful stuff. But yeah, and once again, just reiteration, because I see that I have one new person since I started. Today's artist is James Carr, so that's who I recommend. Go look up James Carr. He's a really great R&B and soul singer, or he was. Yeah, he was. Really great. Yeah. Yeah. But anyways, thank you so much for coming. Yeah. Thank you, Jonathan. Thanks for coming by. I hope you're having a good night too. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into it. So like I said, we're going to be talking about this book, Festival Solos. We're going to be talking about it, and then we're going to play it. It's going to be mostly playing. I just wanted to talk about it a couple seconds, just to kind of talk about it. But yeah, so first of all, these books are great. They're really great resources for any budding musician or music educator, teacher, just because it's a collection of solos. And these, I would say, they're not, some of them are challenging. I know there was one I was trying, and I was having a rough time of it. I won't be playing that one tonight. I wasn't not like a real rough time, but it was just, I wasn't getting it right off the bat. So that's not one we'll be playing today. But you can look in the description, see some of the titles. But just a quick little thing. I think this is a really great book. So it says for young musicians. Definitely agree with that. You can't really tell. It's backwards, but, for young musicians, and I agree with that sentiment. The range is about, or actually, we'll switch to the book. I scanned a few pages from the book, but I just wanted to show quickly. Yeah, you can see my mouse. So the range that I can see, I think the lowest note I saw was either one of these two. So it goes from an A flat, 3 lines below the staff, and the highest note I saw was an E flat, I believe. It might have been an E natural, but the range is here. So it's a range of about an octave and a 2/3 ish. Yeah, so it's that's the general range of all the solos across this book. And here's where the review starts of some of the stuff in the book. It's very organized. My biggest complaint about this fingering chart is it's not thorough enough. Because yes, it has the correct fingerings. E is played on a B flat tuba with 1, 2, 3. But if you have a 4-valve tuba, you should be using the fingering 2/4. So this fingering chart is kind of faulty in that it doesn't have the fingerings for 4-valve tubas. It just has fingerings for 3-valve tubas. And of course, just something to think about with this, and this is what I scanned it with, is that this book is from 2004. So there could have been, they should have known at that time. I assume there were 4-valve tubas back then. I wasn't playing tuba back then, so I have no clue. But I assume there were 4-valve tubas, so they should have just put the 4-valve combinations. I don't know why. They just kind of didn't. And some of these notes they don't have options for, like up here, this D also works really well with 1 and 2. Same with this C on 1 and 3 or 4. And this D flat can also be played with 2 and 3. So it's kind of a shame that they don't have these. Some of these more options. And also, just a really minor thing, although from one of the students I'm teaching now, I think it's kind of good that it doesn't go to the extremes. This is of course not the full range of a tuba. The tuba extends much lower than this. I would argue that it goes almost an octave below this note. But of course, when you get to that pedal E down there, that's an octave lower than this one. It's kind of more a rumble. Isn't really a note, but at the very least, I would say most tuba fingering charts should extend down to the pedal of each note, which for B flat tuba would be extending down to a low B to the B flat below this B flat. And then up above, of course, I would say the thing about brass instruments is there's no real caps like on a woodwind instrument or a keyboard where this is the top note on the keyboard, so we can't go any further than that. Of course, my keyboard has an octave key, so I can go up 3 octaves. Not that the 3rd octave is really possible I don't think, or it's not really a note that comes out clearly, but yeah. But yeah, so I would say at the very least, if you want a great tuba fingering chart, it needs to go up to probably a D above the staff. I would say is a pretty good cap for just showing like, hey, this is the full range of a tuba. But I will say it is kind of good. I know I have one student right now who claims to have learned all, they have basically, but they've learned all the notes, which is cool. But as a younger person, especially, and I'm not going to say any more than that, but I'm just going to say they're within their first year of playing, and they already kind of know all the notes, which is really impressive. But at the same time, it's kind of glad there aren't more notes, and they would try to go to those. But so I guess that's a benefit to having this, is that you won't have students who are trying to hit a super F or a D octave higher than this, or actually attempting to go to this kind of like pedal octave lower than this. Not that that's really possible. I know for me, I think the lowest I can get comfortably is the G, like an octave below here is where I've hit. Yeah. And I think that's my biggest things with these. Other than that, it's great. It's organized really well. Everything's very clear. Yeah, and the other great thing about this book is it has a CD, which I would be playing with it as my accompaniment, because these are solos that are designed to be played with piano. So, yeah, and my personal recommendation for like grade level, if you're in America, because I don't know how that is outside of America, but I'd recommend it's like middle school, late middle school level, maybe early high school, because like I said with the range, this is about the lowest it gets, and then the highest it gets, or the lowest it gets is 3 lines below the staff, and the highest it gets is the 4th space of the staff. So overall range is not very wide, so it makes it approachable for a middle school student who barely knows their 2-octave F scale. So anyways, yeah, it has a lot of selections. It has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. 15 different selections. And then also something that I noticed that I think is really cool. It has a scale studies part where it has a few scales. I didn't scan that. And then it has some program notes that kind of talk about each song. So as we go through this, I'll kind of take a second to just kind of read through some of the program notes for those selections I choose. Like I said, I'm not playing all of these. I'm going to be playing, I think I selected like 9 or 10 or something like that. So I know Ancient Ayre we're going to start with. I'm going to be skipping around. My only other, and just kind of look at the music a little bit. It's very clear. You can read the notes. It's just curved like that because I scanned a book. Took a picture of a book, so it's going to be curved. But yeah, and it has, like I said, the CD is great. It has a tuning pitch at the very beginning, which is very typical for these type of tracks. Then it has a solo with accompaniment, so it kind of like shows you like, hey, here's actually, does it say who played it? No. Okay. Yeah, it doesn't say who played it. But I assume there's some professional, like it says professional musician to play with along with you. So you can do one of two things. One, you can play with a musician to hear them as you play, or you can just listen to how they play it, which kind of, I'm making this easier. I'm putting this out here on YouTube so you don't have to get a CD. Because I know sometimes with these type of things, sometimes the CD doesn't come with it, especially if you're getting it second hand. And then it has one that's just accompaniment, which is what we would have been using today. But like I said, my CD player is not working. I just have like an old school, like not super old school, but just like a Discman. I need to get a USB CD player, but I haven't invested into that quite yet. But sometime soon. But yeah, so you can play along with it. Like I said, very clear. My other complaint about the musical selections is twofold. And I think that's good for looking at it. I'll just kind of like scroll through it as I go through it. And once again, just to say this very clearly, I don't own any of the rights to any of this music. This was made, copyright is right here. Kjos Music Company. They made this, they brought this together. They did a great job of putting it all together for young musicians. I'm basically just giving a little short review, and then we'll just be playing them. So if someone's playing some of these, they have a second source of listening to playing. And eventually I'll get a CD player and record myself along with the accompaniment. And hopefully it'll be different enough from what's on the CD that it provides them with a second interesting thing. The other thing that I have two other things that I take issue with, because like I said, I think this is more great. Because like, look at this. It is like a lot of dynamics here, even though this being by Mozart, this sforzando shouldn't be like super big. It's just kind of like da 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 da. Just kind of just an accent, which is kind of what this means anyways, heavily accented, but not as heavily accented as modern music, because this is from this time period. And that's one of my other issues with this. Is the time, most of these pieces are very like 1700s. This might be one of the earlier ones. We have 1676 to 1719. That's when this one was made. Sleigh Ride. I'm sorry. It's, yeah. And don't be confused. This is the Mozart one. So it is not the Leroy Anderson that we play every year. But yeah, so we have Mozart, 1756. His father, Leopold Mozart, 1719. Beethoven, 1770. This was probably like around 1800-ish. Then Then we have this one. This one's one of the later ones. Actually, this might be the latest one. I don't know. But this one is 1860, 1908. No, I think it's the other way. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I think Prokofiev also has a sleigh ride song. So there's like several. I mean, because it's a sleigh ride. I mean, I don't go on sleigh rides over here. I mean, modern ages, but I assume back then it was like more of a thing where they'd actually get into sleighs. But yeah, I mean, yeah, pretty much. Mozart ripping off of Leroy Anderson. It's not the same tune, I promise. But yeah, so like I said, and like, see, we got some 16ths here. Pretty nice. This one's the later one that we talked about a second ago. And then we have one from the Renaissance, Susato. True. Everyone has to make their own Christmas music tune. Yeah, that's right. Everyone's trying to do Christmas music. Yep. But yeah, we have Susato, who's from 1500s. I think this is the earliest one, actually. And then we have another Bach one, Bach, from the Baroque era. Which this one looks, I mean, look at this. This is, I mean, it's not fast. It's probably like right around here. 2, 3, 4. Da da dee da da dee dom. Ba da dee da da dee do. Dee da dee dee da dee dun 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 da dee dom. So it's probably not super fast. Maybe a little bit fast. Actually, it's probably a bit faster than when I was singing. But anyways, so it's very approachable. Just from looking at this briefly, it's very repetitious, which is fine. I think all of these are that way, but anyways, yeah. So there's also, I didn't scan it, but there's also one by Grieg, Edvard Grieg. I think that's his name. And that's also one of the more modern ones. Let's see. Yeah, Sailor Song, Edvard Grieg. He is from 1843 to 1907. So yeah, I think what is it? We're gonna find it here in a second. This one is probably the latest one, if I had to take a guess. Oh, sorry, I left off one. There's one by a composer named Ludwig Schytte. That's spelled Schytte. Called A Day in Venice. We'll be playing that one. I actually think it's kind of nice. But yeah, so that's my other issue with this, is that there's the variety is actually, it's a decent variety, but we have 3 or 4 from more modern era, because there's also one by Schumann, who is more in the earlier romantic era, whereas the other 3 that I mentioned are like probably late romantic era, which, if you don't know what the romantic era is, that's the 1800s. Oh, my mom said I can't say that word, shite. Yeah. It's not the same. It's not a bad word. It's Schytte. It's not the one you're thinking of. Yeah, cough. But yeah, that's my issue with the composers, is that it's all arrangements of works that have existed. Like, we have, like, just looking at this, I'm pretty sure all of these, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Probably more than half of this was written before 1820 or so, which is it's not very representative of anything. Like, because, like, I mean, I don't have to look it up, but I assume, I could be wrong on some of these people, but all these are probably white European men. Might be American or two, but mostly white European men. So it's not very representative. Um, so we just need, I think it's a good resource, but ultimately there needs to be something that's has original works that are approachable, which of course is hard because you have to hire the composers. And this one, all of these works are in the public domain, so it's just like, oh yeah, let's just arrange this. So it's fair. I understand, but also at the same time, um, it's slightly doing a disservice to our students by not having stuff that's more modern, written by people who are living. 'Cause all these people are dead. Um, pretty sure. Yeah, 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 yeah. But anyways, and the other thing is, all the keys. There's 3 keys that are used: F, E flat, and B flat. Maybe no, I don't. I don't even think A flat is used. Um, so it's recently I've been having issues with keys, but I can't see why we can't introduce our students to sharp keys at an earlier age. I understand why we don't, because flat keys are easier to play on most brass instruments especially, and probably also on woodwind instruments. I don't know enough about woodwind off the top of my head to remember, but I mean, yeah. So just the overall, here's my thoughts on this book. It's a great for middle school age student, maybe really early high school who's still working, doesn't have a really big range yet, or even just someone who's looking to get back into playing tuba, hasn't played tuba for many years. This could be a good little resource of, oh, I want to play some music, and these are some pretty decent music to play. Of course, I would recommend other sources if you're later on in your life, but regardless, I think overall it's a great resource. If you're a student watching this, talk to your band directors before going out and buying it. Or if you're a band director, or even if you're a student, I've included in the description below a couple of links to where you can find this and purchase this if you're interested in checking this out for yourself. Just be warned, if you are playing this with a pianist, there is a separate accompaniment book. So if you're a student, I would recommend you talk to your band director first before you just go out there and spend, I think it's $11-12 by itself. And then the accompaniment book is just as much. So before you spend $11-12 to $24-ish dollars, talk to your band director, because odds are they might have it. Or if you're studying with a teacher, odds are they might have it, and you can use it from them. And you could also request that maybe by that I mean the accompaniment book, and they might have that too. So yeah, I'm gonna actually switch back to okay, and then we'll just do this. Yeah. So overall, I recommend it if you're a middle school student looking to get into playing solo tuba literature. It's a pretty decent resource. But it could use some work. Let's be honest. Because like I said, with keys, we rely so much on B flat, especially. And we have 10 other keys, 11 other keys besides B flat, and that's not even including all the different, because that's just thinking about diatonic scales, scales that are based on 8 notes, where each note is played and we don't repeat notes. There's so many other scales. We have chromatic scale, we have the octatonic scale, which has 2 forms usually, switching between whole steps and half steps, or half steps to whole steps. It's often called the diminished scale. And then we have pentatonic scales. There's a bunch of pentatonic scales: major, minor, major. I think there's some more of those, but there's a lot of different scales out there, and we have potential to show any of these to our students. And this book just shows three scales, maybe 4 if you count, maybe more if you count some of the the inner um, the transpositions that don't have a key change. If you include some of those, then it probably has like maybe 6. I don't know. I haven't done a deep enough dive to check, but I don't have to. But yeah, so that's my letter thought. I recommend it if you're a younger student looking to play these. It's a great resource. But anyways, let's hear some of them. So we're going to start with the first one, the very first one in the book, called Ancient Ayre by John Barrett. Just a quick little program note on him. John Barrett was an English composer and organist. He lived during the Baroque period, which is 1600 to 1750, if you didn't know. Wow. Emphasized by the death of Bach. That was the end of the Baroque period. The Baroque period in history marked an era of vast development in scientific discovery. The astronomer Galileo was charting the heavens with the American colonies were formed. They began adding dynamics in their music, expressing their emotions, using new instruments such as flute, oboe, trombone, and organ. Ayre is the Old English spelling of air and means a song or melody. So their program notes are just history lessons, which I guess is fair, but I don't know. I guess I was expecting them to say more about the piece, but I mean, it is fair. I guess Baroque pieces don't really have too much about them. There was a large amount of the music back then was more written for the I'm forgetting the word. Large amount of music written back there was more written for the music itself, not to express a specific emotion or thought. Like, for example, like Nutcracker tells us the story of the Nutcracker that goes against the Rat King and stuff. Whereas this is just a Ancient Ayre. But here's Ancient Ayre. Sorry about all this, but I'm really sorry about that. Try to be better about not hitting it. I apologize about that. But that was Ancient Ayre. And now the next one we're going to play is The Sleigh Ride by Mozart. Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. Good. Cool. And that was the Sleigh Ride. I'm not going to play the whole thing again. I just want to play it one more time. Play the opening one more time just to kind of get into the actual tempo. I'm probably not at that tempo that's written there. Not to say that you should keep to all these tempo markings. If you want to go like a bit slower or faster than some of these tempo markings, because it's very exact with the tempo markings, where it says like for this one it says allegretto, and then in parentheses it says quarter note equals 120. So it does have exact, slightly exact markings there, but I would say if you aren't comfortable with it at the written speeds, you certainly don't have to do it at the written speeds. Try to get there as close to there as you can, but if not, that's fine. And just do the best you can. That's the biggest thing. Yeah, and if you want to go faster, it's probably somewhat fine. But I would say, especially for some of these slower ones, try not to go too much faster than what they have written. Yeah, but okay, we're gonna try this one more time. I just want to see if, because I just did a metronome, I'll do it here. So you can kind of hear what the tempo sounds like. It's 120. One. Yeah, so it wasn't too far off. I think the actual tempo was a little bit faster than what I was doing, but I wasn't too far behind it. Okay. Next one we'll do is Little March by Mozart's father, Leopold Mozart. Let's actually see what the thing is for this one. I skipped it for the last one. But yeah, oh, there's actually some stuff. Sleigh Ride is from a set of German dances that Mozart composed in 1791 during the last year of his life. That year is one of his most productive when he composed other well-known masterpieces that are still recognized around the world. You're not going to say anything about the Sleigh Ride? Okay, but it does give a little description of Mozart, how he's a musical genius at a young age, played the keyboard, violin, organ, began composing at age 4, wrote his first symphony at 8, first opera at 12, wrote masterpieces in all musical forms. Wow. Yeah. But yeah, that was the Sleigh Ride. And Leopold, father, once again, was the father of Mozart. He kind of pushed Mozart into all of his musical career. Pushed him to do. Let's see if it really says anything about it. Yeah, he wrote, made two significant contributions to music. One being music education. He wrote a textbook on playing the violin, and it's used even today by violinists. And then the other one is his son, Mozart, Wolfgang Mozart, recognized that his son was a child prodigy and functioned as his teacher, educator, agent, business arranger, caretaker, and travel planner. And some say that Leopold sacrificed his own success as a musician to promote, encourage, and nurture his son's career. Yeah. And also, just from reading some of these, some of these probably say more about the songs, but I would appreciate a little bit more about the actual pieces. Why does this piece exist? It's cool to learn about the composer, but what about the piece? I don't know. They probably ran out of room, to be honest. So they're like, what should we go for? Composer biography or info about the piece? Although I will say some of these pieces probably don't have too interesting things, especially some of these Mozart, Little March. It might not have something super deep behind it, but who knows? Because like I said, Baroque era music, it was more a term we call empirical, which basically just means music for music's sake. So it was just music was written to be played as music. Wasn't really written for a specific story or purpose. Like some of the pieces, some of the like I said, Nutcracker, any ballet. I mean, of course they have stories, but pieces I know Romeo and Juliet. This is a good example. There's a couple different versions, but they're all musical representations of the book Romeo and Juliet by Shakespeare. But anyways, this next one is Little March by Leopold Mozart. Nice little march. Now we're going on to the next one, very next page. Yeah, and I apologize for little notes and misses here, but I'll probably sometime later, like I said, once I have a CD player that works, I'll record these with accompaniment, and they'll be a little bit more refined. But I hope at least this has been some help if you're looking at one of these. And after the stream, there'll be a, I'm going to try to put like a something in the description with, or maybe a comment or something, with numbers, so you don't have to just scroll through the whole thing finding your piece, hopefully, that I'm playing. But the next one is Minuet and Trio by Ludwig van Beethoven. One more attempt. One more tip to this section. If you have the music, this is pick up to 33. Yeah, thank you. All right. And that was Minuet and Trio. And just a quick little thing, this one, they have like really detailed like dynamics and stuff. But if you want to change little things here and there, that's probably fine, as long as you're not like just like intentionally like changing everything. But like for example, this one has a trio. That was Minuet and Trio. When you get to the trio section, I mean, you can do a couple things. You can keep the same tempo, but if you want to change the tempo, like I think I went a bit slower, and then I tried when I got back to 53, where the kind of like opening thing comes back. I tried to kind of speed it up a little bit, but yeah. Just the biggest thing, if you're changing like things like tempo especially, and you're working with a pianist, make sure you communicate with your pianist appropriately, so that when you go to a new section and you change tempos completely, your pianist doesn't want to do something rude to you, like throw something, or they wouldn't do that. But anyways, the next one we'll do To a Wild Rose by Edvard MacDowell. This is one of our modern ones, like I said earlier. But American composer Edvard MacDowell was born in New York and began playing piano at the age of 8. By 16, he was studying at the Paris Conservatory of Music. After a position as the head piano teacher at the Darmstadt Conservatory in Germany, MacDowell was selected as the first professor of music at Columbia University in New York. Many of his compositions are modeled after and created using images of poetry and nature. One of his most remembered and descriptive piano pieces is Two Wild Roses, composed in 1896. Yeah, it's like, see there, that would have been a good opportunity to say something, just like a brief little thing about the Wild Rose. I guess they expect, well, not that the student, I don't know, the student may not even look back in the back and be like, what's the program notes of this? But who knows? That would have been a good opportunity to say like something about the Wild Rose. I don't know. I don't know what the Wild Rose does, what it means. I've only I played it a little bit today, and that's it. But here's To a Wild Rose by Edvard MacDowell. And, of course, before each of these, I'm trying to get a tempo on them, just to kind of be more accurate. But like I said, if you want to go slower, that's fine. Because this one being Adagio, I know one time a long time ago, when I was working on one piece in orchestra, we had a section that was labeled as Adagio. The music director, conductor, that's the word, told us that Adagio is like kind of a really broad term. Sure, it means like kind of slow. I don't remember the exact definition. Let's see. It's the definition of Adagio is something. Why isn't Adagio here? There it is. Slow tempo falling between largo and andante. So that means it could be slow or it could be closer to walking pace, which sometimes walking pace is kind of fast. So just with that meaning alone, that's a very broad kind of thing. So you can take it whatever. I'm going to take it really close to the written tempo, 72. Okay, here we go. Yeah, that one actually sounds really nice. That was probably one of my favorites I played so far over there. It's a really nice lyrical piece. And another thing, because you might notice I sometimes breathe in different places. if you have the music in front of you, you might notice I breathe in different places from where the breath marks are. That's okay. I mean, partly because I haven't really, literally today is as much time I've spent on this. I looked at this book today. But yeah. So if you need to take a breath, take a breath. You don't, because sometimes, even though yes, you should try to complete phrases, but at the same time, it's okay if you breathe at a different place, as long as you're not going something like da 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 da, breathing a lot like that. Just kind of pacing out your breaths, still trying to move forward and breathe when you need to, but it's okay to breathe before you need to. Because if you're getting to the end of a phrase and sounding very weak and unstable, if you want that kind of sound, that's great. But if not, I would highly urge you to take a breath earlier. Because there's certainly, especially in this piece, there's certainly plenty of places to breathe with this slow tempo. Okay, so let's move on. All right. This next one's also kind of a more recent one. I say more recent, but it's literally from, was composed sometime between 1810 and 1856. I guess it's not as recent as the Wild Rose, but anyways, this is March by Robert Schumann, one of the prominent composers of the Romantic era. Let's see what it has to say about him. Prolific composer in the Romantic period, which is 1820 to 1900. Yeah, I would say Romantic period started closer to 1800, but you'll find as you go through and learn from different people, some of these dates for periods are kind of iffy. Yeah. But anyways, he didn't really start doing music until age 20. One of his greatest inspirations was his wife Clara. And actually, I think a lot of Clara Schumann's works were composed like with the name of Robert. Just because at the time, women in music was not great. There weren't very many. Like I said kind of earlier, like I said, literally all these pieces, I'm pretty sure, were made by white male people. But anyways, here's March, Robert Schumann. Oh yeah, tempo. One sec. Cool. All right. Next one is Renaissance Festival by Tylman Susato. So really, really cool composer. Haven't heard a lot of his works, but I played an arrangement of one. There's an arrangement played in band. I forget what it's called, but if you look up Susato band, odds are you'll probably find it. It's really, really cool. Really cool piece. I had a lot of fun playing it back then, and this is I really enjoyed this. It's just like really nice, kind of pleasant, like light music. Yeah. But yeah, here's Renaissance Festival. I have just like one little. We'll talk about it after. Here's Renaissance Festival. And the biggest thing with this one is you want it to have pace, but it needs to not be super fast or super slow. So probably the tempo they provide is probably good. Yeah, that one's really nice. The one thing I wanted to say before, it was not really a bad thing, but just something, if you want to add like a little bit of extra flair, and you can do this in a way that sounds really nice, you can add like a little trill on some of these longer notes. Not all of them, but especially like da da dun 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 da 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 dun 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 da ya ya dun da dun dun di da 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 dun 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 da dun da dun dun di da. Just like a little bit on the da da dun 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 da ya ya. Maybe I'll show you. But I would urge you, before you completely accept that, make sure you can play it first. Because the biggest thing you want to think there is like with that trill, think of the same way you would like hold out a long note, but you're just kind of moving your finger a little bit. Like this. But anyways, that's just my little thing. When I was playing it, that's what I wanted to do to make it sound a little bit more interesting. Yeah, but I would be careful with that. Yeah, be careful. And if you do that, do it maybe do it like only that last time, like after 53 or 61, maybe do it like once or twice. Yeah, but I don't know. Moving on, this next one is Sailor's Song by Edvard Grieg. I wanted to include this one because Grieg is another more modern composer, romantic composer from 1843 to 1907. Yeah, I mean, trills are dangerous. I mean, the biggest thing is, yeah, especially played on a tuba. Sometimes they can be not very clear. Yeah. So yeah, that's all I wanted to say with that. Sailor Song. Grieg was born in Norway, composer in the Romantic period, composed in a he had nationalistic. His music was nationalistic, kind of more like their music was based on their country. And this one, obviously, since it's Norway, they're basically surrounded, or not completely, but at least on a good portion of the country is what is it? It's on the open sea. So there's a lot of sailors and stuff. It doesn't say it just talks about nationalist composers. Okay. It is interesting that they use like each of these different composers to be like, oh, this is a nationalist composer. They wrote about their country. This is an example of native Norwegian music. Okay, but what about the piece? It's cool. I guess I will say it's cool that they're like giving like examples. But anyways, here's Sailor's Song, Edvard Grieg. It doesn't matter if I see the opus number, but opus 68, number 1. Okay, I can use that speed. One more attempt. I'm sorry. I just saw the comment that happened while I was playing. Yeah, almost the funny number, but we don't talk about that here. Okay. Next one. I think this will be the last one I play. It says A Day in Venice by Ludwig, Schytte. Yeah, I'm not going to talk about his thing any more than that. His last name any more than that. It just takes the time to talk more about romantic music. Okay, well, anyways, this is a nice, I don't know, I'm just from that description, A Day in Venice, or not description, title, it kind of evokes, like, just think, I mean, as you're playing this, think about Venice, if you don't know what Venice, I've never been to Venice either, but I've seen plenty of the depictions of Venice. So just think about what you've look up some stuff about Venice, look up some films, media, books, etc., etc. Kind of just like think about what it would be to be in Venice. I don't know. I probably won't capture that completely, but yeah. So I think that's a big thing to think about with this is just like think about what would a day in Venice be like. Here we go. Tempo. One more time, I'm sorry. Let me try two things from that. I made two mistakes that I want to fix. First, I'm just going to, since I'm already there, I'm going to play that ending part one more time. If you have the music in front of you, I'm starting from pick up to 53. Cool. Yeah, that was much better. I missed that. Didn't go to that B flat. I missed that B flat there. And the other thing I want to touch on is the beginning. I'm just gonna go to just before 13. Pick up to 5 to just before 13. Yeah. Yeah, and the mistake I made the first time around there was the da dee da 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 dee da 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 those last three notes. Instead of playing da da da, I play them da da da, like there were two quarter notes or something. Yeah, so just be careful when you're reading. If you're working on these on your own, may not be careful, but just have fun with them and be attentive. Realize your mistakes, fix your mistakes, and yeah, think about what you want to do overall. What do you want to what do you want? Oops. There's something weird there. What do you want to show with your performance of this? You don't have to go like super in depth with it, but just like really small. Just think about like maybe one little emotion that you want to present. And yeah. But anyways, if you're watching this live, watching this in the future, regardless, you have any questions about these, that's going to be it for today. Feel free to leave a comment. You can don't DM me on it's okay if you DM me on Twitter, but just make sure you follow me first. Or actually no, it's probably better just to comment on my videos. Because my DMs are filled with spammers like the one we're getting right there. Frick. Yeah. No, I don't know. Report. Yep. Please. Can you get it out of my get it in my chat? Remove. Yeah. Gotta love spam bots. They're bad. But yeah, like I said, that's it. Yeah, thanks for watching, and see you in the future. I hope this helped. And like I said, if you have any questions, anything at all, please feel free to let me know in the comments below. But yeah, I'll see you next time. Bye. Good. Yeah. Yeah, I'm glad. Oh, there's one more left. Why is this here? I don't know. Whatever. It's all gone. Bye.